someone asked a question on Facebook the other day, which I thought was an interesting question. They said, what would be a bigger upset? Berto beating Mayweather, Gary Cornish beating Anthony Joshua, or David Lemieux beating Gennady Golovkin? And obviously, different people had different answers. But me personally, my answer was Berto beating Mayweather would be by far the biggest upset out of those three potential upsets. Because with Gary Cornish against Anthony Joshua, you got two unbeaten guys. You got two guys who have never really been tested. You got two guys who are big, and this is heavyweight boxing at the end of the day. Joshua's chin's never been tested. We don't know what he's going to be like if he gets hit on the chin by a guy as big as Gary Cornish. And Cornish, being the size he is and being athletic, he's definitely going to be packing some type of power there. So we don't know how Joshua's going to react to that. Joshua's never been in with a live opponent who's actually come to win yet. So Joshua's an unknown quantity. We expect him, based on what we've seen of him and based on his amateur credentials, to be able to beat Gary Cornish. But we don't know yet. We don't really know what we've got. We think we've got something with Joshua, but we don't know. He's not proven. So if Gary Cornish was to spring the upset, yeah, it would be an upset, but it wouldn't be beyond the realms of possibility. Many such upsets have happened in the past and happen frequently. Prospects get upset all the time when they weren't expected to lose. So then you look at David Lemieux against Golovkin. And yes, Golovkin is dominant, but he's hittable. He's not like a Floyd Mayweather who gets in the ring and people can barely lay a glove on him. No, Golovkin is aggressive and he puts himself in the line of fire in order to be able to land his shots and put on an exciting show for the fans. And when you're in there with someone like David Lemieux, who, in my opinion, will certainly be the biggest puncher that Golovkin's faced in a professional boxing ring so far, there's an element of the unknown there. We don't know how Golovkin's going to react when if he gets cracked clean on the chin by one of Lemieux's haymakers. Don't get it confused. I expect Golovkin to win the fight. I expect Golovkin to win by knockout. But he's in there with a guy in Lemieux who's very explosive. Yes, he's wild. Yes, he's reckless. He's erratic. But he's very explosive. He's got a faster hand speed than Golovkin. Probably the faster foot speed. And he delivers his punches in a very explosive fashion. As I've said previously, he kind of reminds me of like a poor man's Nigel Benn. That's his style, and that's the way he seems to fight, to me anyway. So, yeah, Lemieux is a young guy, fresh. Yes, he's got 2 losses, but he's bounced back from those losses and had good wins. He's a fresh guy. He believes in himself. He knows Golovkin is hittable, and he knows he's got explosive power. Whereas with Mayweather against Berto, you've got Berto who, to be honest with you, looks like a washed up fighter. This guy looks like he's at the end of the road. Berto's peak, for what it was around the time he was beating people like Carlos Quintana. That was around Berto's peak. And his peak really ended with the loss to Victor Ortiz, where he took a horrible beating. And I'm not saying that Joshua or David Lemieux have got iron jaws. We don't know what Joshua's chin's like. And Lemieux's chin, I don't think it's that bad. Certainly not an iron chin, but I don't think his chin's that bad. I definitely think pound for pound he's got a better chin than Andre Berto. Andre Berto has been shaken and down in so many fights. I've literally lost count. Like I say, not just the times he's been knocked down, because he's been knocked down a few times, but the times he's been shaken in fights is numerous. Even before his losses, this guy was getting shaken a lot in fights. So his chin is poor. His punch resistance is poor. He is strong though, and he has very good pretty good survival skills, and he's strong. But he's got a poor chin. He's very one-dimensional in terms of his boxing style. He doesn't really know how to box with guys who are technical. He gets confused very easily. And when he's hurt, the guy goes into survival mode to the point where he's just literally holding on, like he did against Robert Guerrero, like he did against Victor Ortiz, although to a lesser degree against Ortiz. Against Guerrero, he was literally trapped up against the ropes for damn near the whole fight. Against Ortiz, he was for the most part, but there were moments in the middle of the fight where he came off the ropes. He was able to get off the ropes and land shots and actually drop Ortiz. So he has that habit of whenever he gets shaken, he just shells up and just goes into survival mode because he knows his chin is that poor that he just has to put everything into surviving. He doesn't have anywhere near the level of skill of a Floyd Mayweather. He's got a poor chin. He's got a terrible defense. And as I say, to me, this guy has been on the slide for a while now. He's been looking progressively worse. I mean, he lost to Soto Carras. Soto Carras is a journeyman. And he stopped Andre Berto. And that's with Virgil Hunter in his corner. So you've got a guy in Berto who was never that good in the first place, but is on the slide and is on the downside of his career, going up against a man who many people consider to be pound for pound the best fighter in the world today and is a proven quantity. We know what we have with Floyd Mayweather. He's not like a Joshua who's unknown, or even a Golovkin to some extent, who we don't really know exactly what we have just yet, because a lot of the top fighters haven't stepped up to the plate to actually take on Golovkin. People like Miguel Cotto and Alvarez, at least not yet. They haven't stepped up to the plate and really tested Golovkin so we can see exactly how good he really is. Whereas Floyd is a proven quantity. We know exactly what he is, and we know exactly what Berto is as well. So for that reason, again, shout out to the person who asked that question. I can't remember who it was. I apologize. But shout out to the person who asked that on Facebook. It's a good question, interesting question. But I think, yeah, that Berto beating Mayweather would be by far a bigger upset than Cornish beating Joshua or Lemieux beating Golovkin. And apparently the bookmakers agree with me because their odds apparently reflect that. They have Berto as a much bigger underdog than either Lemieux or Gary Cornish, or a bigger underdog anyway than Lemieux or Gary Cornish. So let me know what you think about the question. If you disagree, drop your comments in the comment section below and let me know why you disagree and why you see one of the other fights as, why you think one of the other fights would be a bigger upset. At the end of the day, it's all down to perception. So there really is no right or wrong answer. It's all down to your own perception of what you think would be a bigger upset. For me, I would be more surprised to see Berto beating Mayweather than I would be to see Lemieux beating Golovkin or Cornish beating Joshua. I'd be more surprised because of the reasons I've explained. Berto's over the hill, was never that good in the first place. Terrible defense, poor punch resistance, poor ring IQ. Yes, he is athletic, we know that. And he's got very fast hands when he lets his shots go. But he's like almost a shorter, less skillful, defensively worse version of Amir Khan in some ways. The only thing that Berto has that Khan don't have, I feel, is Berto's better up close than Khan. Not that Berto's great up close, he's not, but I feel he's better up close than Khan. I think he's faster up close than Khan is. I think Khan's quicker at long range, but up close, Berto's faster with the hooks and the uppercuts up close because he's a short guy with short arms, so it's easier for him. He's got a more compact physique, so he's more at home up close than Khan is. But overall, Khan's a better fighter, and Berto's like almost an inferior version of Khan. They have similar problems, but Berto's problems are worse than Khan's. That's how I see it. But as I say, let me know how you see it in the comment section below. Let me know how you feel about everything I talked about in this video. Mayweather Berto coming up. How do you expect the fight to go? Some people are picking Mayweather to win by stoppage for the first time in a long time. Obviously, he stopped Victor Ortiz a few fights ago. But in terms of legitimate, I mean, the Ortiz stoppage was legitimate in a sense. It wasn't illegal. But Ortiz was looking away and it wasn't exactly in the course of normal action. So the last knockout that Floyd had in the course of normal action was the Ricky Hatton knockout. And I'm not dissing Mayweather for what he did to Ortiz. Ortiz deserved that. He didn't have his hands up. He wasn't looking. Protect yourself at all times and what have you. So I'm not dissing him for that, but I'm just saying it wasn't in the course of normal action. So some people think that Mayweather's going to take out Andre Berto. I mean, I personally don't think he will, unless the referee is overzealous, because it's very possible that it will shake Berto, because Berto's chin is poor. It's possible we'll shake him, maybe drop him. But Berto has pretty good survival skills and he's physically strong. When he wants to grab hold of you and stop you from finishing him, he can do it. I know he didn't manage it in a Soto Karass fight, but he certainly managed it for 12 rounds against Robert Guerrero, and he managed it for 12 rounds against Victor Ortiz. He also managed it against Luis Collazo. So he's got a good track record of surviving when he's hurt. And that Soto Karass knockout defeat happened very late in the fight as well, when he was tired. So I don't think Mayweather will be able to get him out of there unless you've got an overzealous referee who just jumps in and stops it when Berto could have continued. Yes, he might be able to hurt Berto, might be able to drop him, but I don't think Floyd is going to have the kind of volume needed to be able to get Berto out of there. I'll be surprised if he does. I think he'll win a decision. Some people are saying, well, Floyd doesn't normally fight black fighters, and black fighters obviously have a different rhythm, or African American fighters anyway, because when you say black fighters, a lot of the African fighters are actually not very rhythmic in the way they box. You know, particularly fighters from Ghana and stuff like that. They're actually quite stiff and they don't have that African American rhythm and movement to their boxing. They don't tend to have that, the African fighters. But the African American fighters, in general, I'm generalizing here, not all of them obviously, but in general, they have a certain rhythm. And a lot of people have speculated that Floyd has deliberately avoided fighting African American fighters because they can read his rhythm better than Hispanic fighters or white fighters or what have you. And, you know, it's possible, but Berto is not a good example of an African American fighter that has the kind of ring IQ and the kind of rhythm to be able to read someone like Floyd. You look at Zab Judah. Zab Judah does have that kind of rhythm and what have you, especially back in the days. He wasn't really in his prime when he fought Floyd, but he was closer to his prime than he is now. And he had that kind of rhythm and speed and the reflexes to be able to read what Floyd was doing and understand the body language and all that kind of thing. Whereas Berto's never been like that. Berto's an explosive guy, but he's basic in what he does. And he has a very low ring IQ. So I'd be surprised, to be honest with you, to see Berto give Floyd a tough fight. And if he did give Floyd a tough fight, wow, that would open up a whole can of worms. Because if Berto was able to do that, then what would Khan be able to do? What would other explosive type fighters be able to do with Floyd? It really would open up a can of worms, and it would give a lot of credence to the people who say Floyd has been avoiding explosive fighters. I'm not saying he has, but I'm just saying if Berto was to give Floyd a tough time or beat him, that wouldn't look good on Floyd. Trust me, that would not look good. And I'm not expecting that. I'm expecting Floyd to deal with Berto pretty easily. And you just got to look at Berto's last fight against, what's the guy called now? Lopez, Josecito Lopez. I mean, Lopez can't box even 100th as good as Floyd Mayweather. And Lopez was giving Berto plenty of problems in that fight. Plenty of problems. And this is a Lopez who's probably over the hill himself. So, nah, I can't see Berto doing that much. And if he does, then I guess I've really overestimated Floyd Mayweather's skills, because Berto is someone he should be able to deal with easier than he's dealt with his past few opponents. I know styles make fights, definitely. But as I say, look at Andre Berto against Josecito Lopez. I know he's coming into the biggest fight of his career and all that kind of stuff. And maybe that will boost him to a better performance. And he's sparring Amir Khan, so he won't be surprised by Floyd's speed. And Khan is similar dimensions to Mayweather and what have you. So the sparring with Khan will definitely help Berto. But I don't know, man. I just think Floyd should be able to deal with this pretty easily. That's just my feeling. Drop your comments in the comment section below, people. Let me know how you feel. It's happening. I'm out.